What a journey! We're already in our module number 4, Properties and Operations of Integers and Converting Fractions to Decimals and Vice Versa. What I need to know. At the end of the discussion, you are expected to first, illustrates the different properties of the operations of the integers. Second, express rational numbers from fraction to decimal form and vice versa. And appreciate the importance of the properties of integers, fractions, and decimals in our daily lives. Here are the properties on operations of integers. We have the closure, commutative, associative, distributive, identity, and inverse. Let us first discuss the closure property. In closure property, two integers that are added and multiplied remain as integers. The set of integers is closed under addition and multiplication. For example, in addition part, we have 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. Another example, negative 21 plus 19 is equal to negative 2. In multiplication, we have 3 times 5 is equal to 15. And negative 3 times 4 is equal to negative 12. Again, in closure property, we just have to add and multiply for us to have integers as our answer. Now, let us have the commutative. In commutative property, changing the order of two numbers that are either being added or multiplied does not change the value. Dito, pagpalitin man daw natin ang order o pwesto ng numbers na ina-add or multiply natin, hindi maaapektuhan o hindi magkakaiba ang value ng sagot. Example for addition, a plus b is equal to b plus a. Ano man ang sagot sa a plus b, yun din ang sagot sa b plus a. Another, 4 plus 7 is equal to 7 plus 4. If we add 4 plus 7, that is 11, and 7 plus 4 is also 11. Another example, 6 plus 13 is equal to 13 plus 6. In multiplication, we can have a times b is equal to b times a. And 4 times 7 is also equal to 7 times 4. And last example, 6 times 13 is equal to 13 times 6. Now we have the associative property. In associative property, changing the groupings of number that are either being added or multiplied does not change its value. Sa commutative, yung order ang pinagpapalit natin. Pero dito sa associative, yung groupings naman. So dito, yung parenthesis ang nagre-represent ng groupings. Let us have the example. For addition, quantity a plus b plus c is equal to a plus quantity b plus c. So sa una, ang nakagroup sa atin ay yung a plus b. Sa pangalawa naman ay yung b plus c. Anong groupings man yan, when we add both of them, they will arrive with the same answer. Another example, quantity 3 plus 7 plus 5 is equal to 3 plus quantity 7 plus 5. Magkaiba man ang groupings nila, sa una ay 3 plus 7 at sa pangalawa ay 7 plus 5, kapag inad natin yan parehas, they will arrive with the same answer. Same with the quantity 9 plus 2 plus 8 is equal to 9 plus quantity 2 plus 8. Examples for multiplication, quantity a times b times c is equal to a times quantity b times c. Another example, quantity 3 times 7 times 5 is equal to 3 times quantity 7 times 5. Maiba man ang groupings natin, same pa rin ang kanilang product. And last example, quantity 6 times 2 times 4 is equal to 6 times quantity 2 times 4. Let us have the distributive property. The distributive property. When two numbers have been added or subtracted and then multiplied by a factor, the result will be the same when each number is multiplied by the factor and the products are then added or subtracted. Example, A times quantity B plus C is equal to A times B plus A times C. We distributed A or binigay natin yung A sa B at sa C. Another example, 4 times quantity 5 plus 6 is equal to 4 times 5 plus 4 times 6. We distributed 4 to 5 and 6. So 4 times 5 is equal to 20 and 4 times 6 is equal to 24. Since our operation is addition, we will have plus sign. So 4 times quantity 5 plus 6 is equal to 20 plus 24. Last example, 2 times quantity 7 minus 3. Distribute 2 to 7 and 3, we will have quantity 2 times 7 minus quantity 2 times 3. 2 times 7 is equal to 14 and 2 times 3 is equal to 6. Since our operation is subtraction, we will have the minus sign. So 2 times quantity 7 minus 3 is equal to 14 minus 6. Second to the last, we have the identity property. In identity property, we have the additive and multiplicative identity. So in additive identity, it states that the sum of any number and 0 is the given number. So 0 is our additive identity. And in our multiplicative identity, it states that the product of any number and 1 is the given number. Here, 1 is our multiplicative identity. Here's our example. So 8 plus 0 is equal to 8. And in multiplication, we have 7 times 1 is equal to 7. So identity, kung ano yung number, yun lang din ang sagot. Last, we have the inverse property. In addition, it states that the sum of any number and its additive inverse is 0. And in multiplication, it states that the product of any number and its multiplicative inverse or reciprocal is 1. So sa inverse property, para sa addition, so we will just add any number para makuha natin yung additive identity, which is 0. So, kailangan laging mag-equal sa 0. And in multiplication, dapat mag-multiply tayo ng number na mag-equal lang sa 1. So, example. So, A plus negative A is equal to 0. Ang additive inverse ng A ay negative A. And we have 4 plus negative 4 is equal to 0, which is negative 4 naman ang additive inverse ng 4. In multiplication, we have 1 over A times A is equal to 1. So, ang inverse ng ating A ay 1 over A. Then, we have 1 over 5 times 5 is also equal to 1. Let's do this exercise. Fill in the blanks. Write the missing terms according to the property applied to each number. So in number 1, we have the commutative property. We have quantity negative 4 plus 3 is equal to quantity 3 plus, what is the answer? So commutative, pagpapalitin lang ang order. So if we have 3, the missing term is negative 4. Very good. Number 2, apply the identity property. We have blank times 1 is equal to negative 8. What is the missing term? That's right, it is negative 8. How about number 3? Apply the inverse property. We have 12 plus blank is equal to 0. The missing term is correct, negative 12. And number 4, apply the distributive property. We have 6 times quantity 1 plus 2 is equal to 6 times blank plus 6 times blank. What are the missing terms? So, distribute, i-distribute, or ipamimigay lang natin yung 6 dun sa mga naka-groupings. So, we will have 6 times 1 plus 6 times 2. Very nice. And last, number 5, associative property. We have quantity 10 plus 4 minus 6 is equal to blank plus quantity blank minus 6. What are the missing terms? That's right. In the first blank, it should be 10 and the second one should be positive 4. Well done! Now, let's learn converting fractions to decimals and vice versa. Let us first discuss the rational number. A rational number is any number which can be written as a quotient of two integers where the divisor is not 0. The word rational comes from the word ratio, which means quotient. Thus, any number that can be written in fraction form is a rational number. This includes integers, terminating decimals, and repeating decimals as well as fractions. So, example, we have A over B, but remember, B should never be equal to 0. Parts of a fraction. We have two parts, the numerator and the denominator. Numerator tells how many parts of the whole we have, while denominator tells how many parts make up the whole. And of course, we must not forget our fraction bar. Forms of rational numbers. We have the integer, terminating decimal, and repeating decimal. So any integer is a rational number simply by giving it a denominator of 1. Here's our example. And in terminating decimal, they can be written as a fraction simply by writing it the way you say it. Here's our example for the terminating decimal. And last, we have the repeating decimal, which can be written as a fraction using algebraic methods. And here's our example. Convert decimals to fractions. To convert a decimal to a fraction, follow these steps. Step 1. Write down the decimal divided by 1. Step 2. Multiply both top and bottom by 10 for every number after the decimal point. For example, if there are 2 numbers after the decimal point, then use 100. If there are 3, then use 1000. Step 3. Simplify or reduce the fraction. Now let's apply these following steps. For example 1, convert 0.75 to a fraction. Step 1. Simply write 0.75 over 1. Step 2. We will multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 100. 0.75 times 100 is equal to 75, and 1 times 100 is equal to 100. Step 3 is to simplify, so just think of any greatest common factor for 75 and 100. If you can think of their greatest common factor, just think of any common factor they have. Here, we can use 5. 75 divided by 5 is equal to 15, while 100 divided by 5 is equal to 20. We can see that 15 over 20 can still be simplified. So let's think again of another common factor for them. That's right, we can use again 5. So 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3, and 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4. Now, we have 3 over 4 as the fraction form of 0.75. Example number 2. Convert 0.625 to a fraction. Step 1. Simply write 0.625 over 1. Step 2. Multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 1,000. Since we have 3 numbers after the decimal point, we will have 1,000. 0.625 times 1,000 is equal to 625. And 1 times 1,000 is equal to 1,000. Step 3. Simplify. So let's think of the common factor for 625 and 1,000. We can divide both of them by 25. 625 divided by 25 is equal to 25. And 1,000 divided by 25 is equal to 40. We can see that 25 over 40 can still be reduced. The common factor for them is 5. So 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. And 40 divided by 5 is equal to 8. Our final answer is equal to 5 over 8. For our last example, convert 2.35 to a fraction. Put the 2 aside and just work on 0.35. For step 1, we will have 0.35 all over 1. Step 2, we will multiply both the numerator and denominator by 100 because we have 2 numbers after the decimal point. 0.35 times 100 is equal to 35 and 1 times 100 is equal to 100. Step 3, simplify. Get the greatest common factor of 35 and 100, that is 5. 35 divided by 5 is equal to 7 and 100 divided by 5 is equal to 20. Now bring back the 2 to make a mixed fraction. For our final answer, we will have 2 and 7 over 20. Convert fractions to decimals. To convert a fraction to decimal, simply divide the fraction using the long method, or it is the long division. Another method is to follow these 3 steps. Step 1. Find a number you can multiply by the bottom of the fraction to make it 10 or 100 or 1,000 or any one followed by zeros. Step 2. Multiply both top and bottom by that number. And step 3. Write down just the top number, putting the decimal point in the correct spot, 1 space from the right hand side for every 0 in the bottom number. Let us convert fractions to decimals using the long division. In long division, just divide the numerator by the denominator. Example, convert 5 over 8 to a decimal. So we will have 5 divided by 8. So how many 8 do we have in 5? That's right, it is 0. So 0 multiplied by 8 is equal to 0. Now 5 minus 0 is equal to 5. And since we need to continue dividing, we will add an imaginary 0. And when we add imaginary 0, let us not forget putting a decimal point. So let's put it also on our final answer. Let's continue. 50 divided by 8. So how many 8 are there in 50? That's right, we have 6. 6 multiplied by 8 is equal to 48. Let us subtract. 50 minus 48 is equal to 2. Add again another imaginary 0. We will have 20. 20 divided by 8 is equal to 2. 2 times 8 is equal to 16. Let us subtract. 20 minus 16 is equal to 4. Since it's not yet 0, we still need to add imaginary 0. Now we have 40. How many 8 are there in 40? That's right, we have 5. Then multiply it by 8, so 5 times 8, we will have 40. And 40 minus 40 is equal to 0. Since we arrive at 0, our final answer will now be 0.625. Now let's convert fractions to decimals using the 3 steps. Let us have the example, 3 over 4 to convert it into a decimal. For step 1, we can simply multiply 4 by 25 for it to become 100. In step 2, multiply both the numerator and denominator by 25, we will have 3 times 25 is equal to 75 and 4 times 25 is equal to 100. Step 3, let us just put the top number or the numerator, then count 2 steps. Since we have over 100, we have 2 0, so we have 1, 2, and put a decimal point and a 0. So our final answer for 3 over 4 converted into decimal form is 0.75. For our last example, convert 4 over 5 to a decimal. Since our denominator 5 is only one digit, we need to think of any number to multiply to 5 for it to become 10. So for step 1, we can simply multiply 5 by 2 to become 10. Step 2, multiply both the numerator and denominator by 2. We will have 4 times 2 is equal to 8 and 5 times 2 is equal to 10. And for step 3, just write down the top number, and that is 8. Then, since we have 10, we need to count 1 to put a decimal and a 0. So our final answer, the decimal form of 4 over 5 is 0.8. Well done, my dear students. That's all for now. Keep safe and God bless.